Welcome back, boys.
Oh my god. Welcome back, boys, to the $500 Robinhood account challenge, where we try to grow a $500 Robinhood account using day trading, swing trading, long-term investing options, and all sorts of trading stuff. And if that sounds fun and exciting to you, which I really hope it does, hit the subscribe button. I release videos at least weekly. Also, the charting software that I'm going to be showing and using in this video is Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade, which is free to use. I'll put a link in the description for you to join if you want to do that. And brand new and exciting stuff, I have created a Discord for all of you to join. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just a place where everyone can get together and chat about stuff. And I think it's a good idea to get all of us together and maybe throw some ideas around on a weekly basis. And I'll update you guys on my trades live so that you're not constantly 1 week delayed like you are through these videos. So you'll be able to get my trades real time. So without wasting any more of your time, let's take a look at my recent trades and my current positions. Let's take a closer look at the SPY day trade I did on the 4th. I tend to trade day trade options, which I did in this case as well, and I tend to trade them under the ETFs of the major indices, which are the S&P 500, the ETF is SPY, Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is DIA, and the NASDAQ, which is QQQ. So those three ETFs have really high options volume, which means the bid-ask spread is really tight, and it makes it really easy getting in and out of trades when you're day trading, which is what you need to do when you're day trading. So anyway, I had the foresight somehow to screen record my screen when I was doing this day trade so that you guys can see what it was like in real time, and I'm just gonna talk over it and tell you what I was thinking during the trade. So let's give it a whirl. It's going 3,000% speed, so it's going pretty fast. You'll see me jumping between the 5-minute and 15-minute time frames because I like the 5-minute and the 15-minute to be speaking the same language. If the 5-minute is saying buy, I want to make sure the 15-minute is saying buy and vice versa. So you'll see me jumping between those. Now, in this case, I was looking to short it because you can see it's trending underneath that white line right there. See that white line right there? That is the volume weighted average price, or the VWAP. And when it's trending underneath that, it tends to be in a downtrend. So I don't usually go long if it's underneath that white line. Again, everything I'm talking about here, you'll see links to third-party information in the description. So if you want to learn more about these indicators and stuff, you'll see them in the description there. So I was looking to buy some puts on SPY, and what I'm looking for when I'm wanting to buy puts is I want to see it go up to the VWAP, the white line, and get rejected, meaning that it hits the white line and you'll see a fat red candle because it goes, nope, I'm not heading past that. I'm going to turn right back around and head down. So I like to see that, and I also like to see it break below the 9 EMA, which in this case is that blue line right there. That's the exponential moving average. So not only does it need to be rejected by the VWAP, it also needs to go down and below the 9 EMA for me to be comfortable with it. Of course, I'm also looking at possible support and resistance levels, and in this case, there is a pretty obvious support right there in that area. So that may be a limitation to the downside because it could go down a little bit but then get rejected by that support. So I'm keeping that in mind as well. But still, it looks like it's in a good downtrend, so I'm looking to buy some puts on it. However, not only do I want it to be rejected by the VWAP and bust through the 9 EMA, I want it to close below. So right here you'll see I'm still waiting. I got my finger on the trigger. I'm getting ready to buy some puts. I'm ready to go, baby. But I don't buy puts yet because it has not closed on the 5-minute chart below the 9 EMA. So I'm waiting for that to happen. Also, you can see here that I highlighted these two candles. That is called a bearish piercing candle. When you see that fat green candle and then right next to it a fat red candle. If I'm talking too fast, by the way, you can turn down the speed down in the corner, just so you know. That's called a bearish piercing candle. So you're gonna have a fat green candle and then a fat red candle that takes away most of that green candle's gains. And that's usually a bearish indicator. So I was getting ready, dude. I was eyeing those puts like they're like juicy something. I don't know, juicy grapes that whatever. I was getting excited to buy some puts. But we're still waiting for it to break below that 9 EMA. I'm not too concerned when I'm day trading about the MACD or the RSI. I really am not. I'm more concerned about price action, resistance and support levels, and my VWAP and 9 EMA. Those are what I'm really focusing on. I'm not really focusing on the MACD or RSI. So I'm gonna hit play here. So I'm waiting. There's some good volume coming in. Hasn't closed yet. It's closed above the 9 EMA. I'm doing some weird calculations, so I'm still waiting. Now you'll see something here that'll happen really quick, and it kind of cuts a little bit. I'm sorry about it, but we'll give it a second. See that right there? So it happened really fast, this fast, big, fat green candle. So I was initially wanting to buy puts on this, but when I saw this fat green candle where it closed near the high of that 5 minute, those 5 minutes, so you see it has a really tiny wick and it's a big fat green candle with good volume, that's a really bullish sign. And so I was not going to buy some puts, and when I saw that it busted above the 9 EMA in the VWAP, I decided that was enough for me to actually go long. So I bought a call, and you can see here I bought the SPY 288 call for about $35. Now, if you're a little bit more conservative, you might wait for it to go up and then go back down and retest the VWAP or the 9 EMA, which in this case would be about in the same area. So it busts through and it might go back down and get rejected. And now the 9 EMA and the VWAP have become support in that example. But with the momentum that candle had, I felt comfortable going in on it. And Robinhood doesn't allow you to put stop losses for options, so you have to have a mental stop loss. So in this case, my mental stop loss was just below, I'm spitting all over the camera. It was just below the VWAP. So if it busted below the VWAP and closed below it, I would exit the trade and I wouldn't puts around. I'm not gonna wait for it to go my way or double down or triple down. I'm just gonna close if it busts below that VWAP. And we're gonna keep going a little bit here. And you can see I put a red line up there. Now what is that? That's my target price that I'm going to. So I took a moment to decide, where did I want to sell at? Where am I going to take profits at? And what I did is I looked at the pre-market high, and I put a line right at the pre-market high where you can see the highest point the price is traded at in pre-market, and I decided that could potentially be resistance, and so I'm going to sell at that level in case it is. So now I have my mental stop loss and I have my target price, and I'm just letting the trade go. Now you'll see here in just a second, it's really quick on the side so you won't see it very well, but I actually buy another call. So I'm adding into my position, and this is called averaging up. And it's a totally fine thing to do when you're day trading or swing trading and the price is going in the direction you predicted. Never do you want to buy into a position if it's going the opposite direction of what you predicted. That is buying into a losing position or something you were wrong about. And you never want to do that. Only average into a position or build into a position as it's going the direction you predicted it would go. So you can see here that might have been an okay, maybe even a better place to enter as far as being more conservative, because it went back down, tested the 9 EMA, and got rejected. And you can consider that maybe it's called a hammer, that kind of candle. We have that long wick and really small body. That's a bullish indicator. That means that price level below got rejected pretty strongly, and that happened to be, it was where the 9 EMA was. So that showed that it was going to likely continue its bullish trend. And you can see I set alerts here on Thinkorswim, which you can do by right-clicking anywhere on the chart and clicking Create Alert. That way, if it hits any of these spots, I'll get notified, because sometimes I'll step away from the computer for a second just because staring at these bars moving for an hour can be a little bit taxing on the emotions. So boom, see it busted over where I put my price target and I was out. Done, sold both my calls. It wasn't even for that much really, it was like $9. The reason I only made $9 on the trade is because I didn't buy calls that were super out of the money. So I bought some calls that were kind of out of the money, but not way out there. And that was because I didn't want like a whole ton of leverage in case it went against me. It also, if you're having to exit out of a bunch of options at one time, you have to exit at the bid price, which means you're basically losing automatically $1 per option. So it's almost like you're paying $1 to exit out of the trade if you want to exit out immediately. And if you have 5 options that are out of the money that equal up to $60 compared to 2 options that are out of the money that equal up to $60, you're paying $5 to exit as compared to only paying $2 to exit, if that makes sense. You can look on your Robinhood app, look at the bid-ask price. If you have to enter a trade, you have to pay the ask. If you have to exit, you have to pay the bid, which means you're paying a fee essentially to exit immediately. And so as you can see, that was actually a pretty good spot to exit because it starts curling back down and heading in the opposite direction. So in this case, I chose a pretty decent target price to exit at. Okay, here we are. We're looking at the exact same day on the actual Thinkorswim platform. And you can see back here, this is where I set my target price right here. That's the high of the pre-market. And then it's also worth noting that support and resistance levels, as you may or may not know, do not have to be horizontal. They can actually be a diagonal as well. You can see that here as this red line where this price keeps bumping off of this price level going in the diagonal direction. And then you can also see it towards the bottom as well. This is called a channel when it's bouncing back and forth going down diagonally, right, like that. And when you see it pop out of that region that it was trading in, this is considered a breakout. And this can be considered a place to go long when it busts out of this pattern. Perhaps it's now going to go in a different direction than it has been going. So one of my swing trades was Coca-Cola, but I exited out of that position, not because it's really a bad position at all. It's actually all right. It's just moving a little slow for me. I've had it since the beginning, like when we first started, and it's been 2 months basically. So it's taking a long time. So I decided I'm gonna take my capital, I'm gonna try to make it work for me a little bit better elsewhere. Where I moved it to, or some of it to, was into AMC, where I put in a small position on AMC. And I'll tell you why. Recently it was upgraded to a buy by an analyst, I forget who it was, but that's not really why I'm getting into it. The technicals to me look really good. So one of my favorite patterns, as you might have known from a different video where we talked about the United States oil fund, is the inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is a bullish pattern. And you can see that here, where there's one shoulder going to a price level, it bounces back up, there's the head, bounces back up, another shoulder, up again. And what you look for is a break of the neckline, which is this line right here. It's estimated about where these 2 points are. And I just kind of picked the average between the two. Sometimes the head and shoulders doesn't perfectly appear on the chart, but it can get pretty close. It's a little subjective is what I'm trying to say. But you look for a bust above that neckline, which you can see here. It busts above, fills this gap here, tests the neckline, and continues to move upwards. And in this case, it's almost like a double bottom there just about, which is also a bullish indication. And it has now popped above the 200-day moving average. So for me, that looks like a good buy opportunity. So I went ahead and put some shares in there. My stop loss is going to be just below the neckline at around, I think it's actually exactly at 1450. We'll see if it works for me a little better than Coca-Cola has been working for me. So we'll see how that goes. If I get stopped out, no worries, but we're looking for a price target probably up close to the recent highs, which are up here around the 1990 level. You can also maybe pull some of your position out down here as well if it starts to go in the uptrend, but I'm hoping for a little bit higher than that. But we'll see. As long as you have a stop loss in place, that's like the most important thing. Minimizing your losses. You can have your own ideas about a stock or a chart or whatever, and it's totally fine, whatever you pick, as long as you have a stop loss and you're not just totally randomly guessing. As long as you're doing your due diligence and analyzing the chart and maybe recent news or anything like that, then go for it, man. Here's my other swing trade position in which you can see the same pattern. It's the United States Oil Fund. This is an ETF that tracks the price of sweet crude oil. You can see the reverse head and shoulders pattern here. It busts above that neckline that I was talking about, goes back, retests it, and pushed higher up. And now it has pushed above the 200-day moving average, and I have moved my stop loss up just below that 200 moving average. So we got to move that stop loss up so that we can capture some of those profits in case it does take a turn for the worse. Now this next one, I entered a very, very small position into it. It's GERN. It's a pharmaceutical company, and it can be considered a penny stock, which are very risky. They tend to be very risky, especially pharmaceutical companies. So I put a very small position in this. I just really like, if you go to the 4-hour chart, it's easier to see the higher highs and higher lows. So let's take a look there. I just really like the trend I'm seeing. Higher highs, higher lows. I took a look and poked around to make sure that there was no clinical trials being released, and as far as I can tell, there's not going to be any clinical trial results released. Those kind of trial results being released tend to have a very major influence on the stock price, so I don't want to be holding that during that time period. I'd rather just capitalize on any uptrend that I see through technicals, in my opinion. We might end up having some resistance at the 200-day moving average, but that would still give us a hefty profit of about 19% or whatever. And I only put like 15 bucks into this, so I'm not betting the whole farm on this penny stock. Be very careful when you're trading these. Make sure you're comfortable with losing all that you put in it, because they tend to have a lot of volatility. So just, I warned you. And I put my stop loss at $1.53, which is below the recent low, which would put us at about a 29-cent loss per share, or a loss of 16.23%, which would be brutal if I had a large position in it, but I don't. Have a very small position, like I said, about $15. I think you might have noticed I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on the RSI and the MACD, and that is because I don't see them as valuable as price action, moving averages, and volume, as well as like patterns on the chart and reading candlesticks. Those have way more power than indicators like the RSI and MACD. If the MACD and RSI worked like a charm, it would be easy to trade. It'd be a piece of cake. Everyone would be making money trading. I just don't see them as effective. They're not super effective. They can be a good complement to your moving averages, chart patterns, and all that jazz, but I do not see them as my primary indicators when I'm trading. That's my personal opinion. It works best for me. You may disagree, and that's totally fine. Trading is honestly a very subjective, personal experience, and whatever works for you, man. I know some people have really complicated setups. I like to keep it nice and simple. That about covers it, you beautiful beasts. I'll see you guys in the Discord. Don't forget, because it's in the description. I want to get as many people in there as possible, because even I am looking for constant ideas on swing trades and setups and all that kind of stuff. I love you guys. Have a great week.